Hello guys, welcome back in our YouTube channel with me Ogi and Jeeves in our journey to Star Atlas Metaverse, creator economy and production of digital fashion. This Twitter Spaces held on 5th December 2022. Natalia and Daria from the Dressx. If you found this one very interesting, you must check this out. This is about the NFT utilities, blockchain gaming skins, and digital fashion at the Metaverse. Check this out.
Hi everyone. Hi Pepe. Hi Daria.
Hey Danny, how are you? Hey Daria, how are you?
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Because I can't hear anyone. Or nobody was talking.
Yeah, nowhere. We just started.
You just started. Okay, perfect.
Can you hear us now?
Yes.
What's it like for you
I can
now?
hear very well. Sorry?
What's it like for you now? All good?
Yes, so good. Thank you. Thank you so much. And thank you for moving the conversation a little bit later. Natalia is also going to join in 2 minutes. So you've just started, guys, right?
Yes, we have.
Yes, no worries. Thank you so much for making the time, Daria. No worries at all for changing the time.
Yes. Thank you. Happy to talk today. Are you all back or everyone is still in Miami?
So I'm still in Miami. It's been a bit hectic finding Daria's, I'm sure you know, just somewhere quiet to just talk.
True. I know it's been difficult in this city. Too many things going on.
How was it? I wish I could have gone and met you physically, Daria. How was it?
That would be nice if we could meet. So Miami went great. I think it was a lot of things going on. For me, I think the highlight was all the art exhibitions that we visited, and basically Art Basel and Design Week were amazing. And we also went to the Super Blue yesterday, and there were a number of significant installations that I really enjoyed. So for me, it was all about art, digital and physical, and sometimes on the intersection of digital and physical. Yes, and the conversations were great. We met a lot of new people, and talking about the year 2021 was amazing. We had one amazing conversation with Danny, for example, and Marjorie. So it was really meaningful for all of us to have it.
It's so nice to have you just right after you have been to this event, because I guess that you got a lot of inspiration and inputs on how digital fashion is going to evolve and how it's going to be the next couple of years. So I'm looking forward to share more about it.
Absolutely, and we started to discuss that with Danny too, and I'm sure that we can continue during our conversation now, because we kind of were pondering on what the digital fashion industry, like what shifts will happen in 2022 and what we can predict, any like black swans, etc. So it's been interesting. We can also discuss it today.
100%. And I also think, for me, what was so fantastic was I have been so inspired by all of you, and we've worked closely together for, a year, in my case.
Yes.
And finally, all of us being, the majority of us being together in person and, getting to have these conversations, which are more than just a meeting where you're dealing with something quite specific. It's actually all of us looking at the future of our industry together and thinking about ways we can collaborate and push the industry forward in person, I think was just so special for me.
Yes, I completely agree with you, and we definitely need to do it more often. And I'm so glad that, because I'm now reading this news about new wave of the virus, etc., and there is a chance that we all will be on lockdown again, like for some time. But it's so great that we managed to actually all see each other, meet each other, and get inspired from each other, because still seeing and having this conversation in person gives it a different spin.
100%. I'm going to start. I'll give a little bit of an intro to the room, and then Daria, you and I can start chatting, and then when Natalia joins, she can join in.
Absolutely.
So first of all, welcome to everybody in the room this evening or afternoon, depending on where you are. This is Digital Fashion Inside the Wardrobe of the Metaverse, which is a series which we run every week on Sunday at this time. And it's a collaboration between me, Danny, and I'm the founder of This Outfit Does Not Exist, and the Fabricant, and we have the phenomenal Pepe hosting on the other side. And the purpose of, these sessions is it's both educational around digital fashion and it's for people to come up and share their projects, but it's also to discuss the future of the industry. So the wardrobe of the metaverse being the clothes which will sculpt our lives in game and also our lives digitally, and what's, the infrastructure and the attitudes needed to further that. And we have a theme every single month. And what we have kicking off this theme, which was very much inspired by a conversation that I had with Natalia and Daria this weekend, is what I'm calling Digital Fashion 2022. So, what is the future of our industry? What are the black swans that are going to come? What are the advancements that we hope to see? And what are the ways that we want to work together moving into the new year? So very, very excited to discuss that. And just kind of as a quick opener, because I know that, not everybody here knows what digital fashion is. So digital fashion is any worn garment created in the digital realm. And so that can be physical garments produced using digital design software. It can be garments which are worn what we would call fidgetly. So having a physical human being wearing a digital garment. And then also fully digital fashion. So, skins and games and all of that. And today, I'm absolutely thrilled to be joined by two of, my favorite pioneers in the industry. We have Daria and Natalia, who are the founders of Dressx. And I think it would be good, actually, for both of you to just kind of give a little blurb on what Dressx is. And I think in the theme of, evolution and what we've been discussing, it would be great to hear, what was Dressx a year ago or, a year and a half ago when you founded it? And actually, how has it evolved over the past year into what it is now?
Thank you so much for asking, Donnie. And so basically, we started the company 1 year and 4 months ago. And it was like kind of our answer to the things that were happening in the fashion industry, kind of our natural response to the issue of overproduction that we saw happening in the fashion industry. Because before starting Dressx, we had a showroom in Paris when we paired contemporary designers with larger stores worldwide. And we also saw the opportunity, and kind of not even the opportunity, the desire of so many people to own luxury goods when they don't have an opportunity actually to own them. And we wanted to provide a different way for those people to appreciate this beauty, this luxury, without actually spending so much money on clothes, because you can kind of shop for something else always. And clothes can be a lot of fun, but they can only exist in digital reality. And we started to do that because we really felt it, and it was an insight that we had. But then it's all started to shape in like the entire industry, as you know. And I think there were a few people like you, us, obviously the Fabricant was started a long time ago, and like some other companies that had the same insight that was coming from kind of different, maybe sometimes issues, but we had the same insight. So we all wanted to contribute to the change of fashion, and then we all saw this opportunity in digital fashion. And since then, obviously, Dressx have developed significantly, but we definitely see the future when every person in the world will have their own digital wardrobes. And especially, like, I am a firm believer that, for example, when you buy like a beautiful Dior dress, you would like to actually your kids and grandkids to have it. And there is no way that they can have it if it's just created from fabric, because it will be damaged in a century. But in digital, it can exist. So actually, you can buy this beautiful Dior dress, appreciate it and wear it, and then pass it to the generations and the digital versions. And that's what excites me. And Natalia will continue. Natalia?
Well, get to the next question. It's such a deep, kind of answer, and that totally kind of shows our vision, and the vision is evolving as well, same as the industry is evolving, and this is a new kind of realm, new market, new topic, and so many elements are coming into the place, and it's also really interesting.
Daria, Natalia, I think we lost you for 1 sec.
Hello?
Yeah, Natalia, yeah, we lost you.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, what I was saying, that even the notion of the wardrobe of the metaverse is evolving, and this is like very interesting to see what are the elements of it and how it is forming and changing, and how it can be used, this wardrobe of the metaverse. Because I've been speaking at this conference, Decentral, and I'm still here in Miami. About everyone who's listening from here. There was a conference, Decentral, where the Fabricant showed the stand, and Luxo and Dressx and Digitalux. So it was a big gathering of the leaders of the digital fashion industry. And we've been on a stage, and I asked like 250 people who has their avatar in any of the digital virtual worlds, and it was not a lot of hands. So I understand that we're still getting there, and it will take time to give the possibility to actually wear the digital fashion to people. And that's why I think this kind of version of the proto-metaverse, which is a social media, is very important. And this is why right now I'm very excited about AR fashion and dressing up people for their images, for their social media, because this is kind of a breach of the use case for this wardrobe for the metaverse. And of course, yeah, it's a very interesting journey. Let's maybe think about how we can give a possibility to everyone to enjoy digital fashion, and to have it personal, you know.
100%. And I think what I found, I mean, there are two things that I found really interesting. First of all, when we did that panel, I started with a question, and I was like, okay, who here has heard of digital fashion? And I was shocked. We probably got like 65-70% of people putting their hands up and being like, yes, I've heard of digital fashion. And then normally, there are almost 3 billion gamers, and the largest market is currently the market for skins. And so when then you asked who has a gaming account, I would have expected the whole audience to put their hand up, or at least everybody who had said they'd already heard of digital fashion. So it was actually very interesting for me that we didn't actually have that, meaning that a lot of the people who'd heard of it had heard of it in terms of AR filters or phygital, which I thought was a little bit unusual, especially at something which was a crypto-centric conference.
Sorry to interrupt, but I wanted to give a special surprise. I wanted to introduce Pedro, that he, as every week, will be giving a special giveaway. So before we go farther on the conversation, I want to introduce him so he can tell us how you can win a special access to Season 1, the Fabricant Studio Season 1.
Hi, Pepe. Thank you. Hi, Dani. Hi, Daria. Hi, how are you, everyone? Well, this is just a short announcement. Here, as you all know, back in September, the Fabricant Studio successfully launched its debut season with a community of 50 digital creators, NFT collectors, and crypto enthusiasts. Collectively, 50 unique digital fashion items were co-created and minted from the platform and will display on the Fabricant Studio marketplace, launching this month, December. As we gear up for the start of Season 1, with even more designers, co-creators, and participants, we'll be launching a series of posts to introduce the season's collaborators, new platform features, and more exclusive content. For the rest of this month, December, until the start of Season 1, we will be dropping access codes on Twitter and Discord, giving you a chance to join Season 1 as a co-creator. So, if you want to participate and be a co-creator for this upcoming season, Season 1, the only thing you have to do is to go to our Discord, to the Fabricant's Discord. You can find it. You can find the direct link in the Fabricant's link tree, or much easier, if you just click on my picture, you will see the direct link. It's just the latest post on my feed here on Twitter, and then you just have to click on the giveaway section, the giveaway channel, and then you will find the direct link to the tally, which is a form that you have to fill, and that's it. You can have access to the Season 1, and well, you must submit the secret code. And well, the secret code for tonight's dynamic, let's say, it's you have to choose between 4 options, the right one. It means like, what are the main actions you can do with your fashion NFT at Season 1? So you can create, you can trade, you can wear, or all of the above. So it's easy, and that's it. Thank you, Pepe, and we looking forward to all of your submissions.
Thank you very much, Pedro.
Thank you, Pedro, and very, very exciting that anybody in the room could win a digital fashion NFT if they listen closely enough. So something that I want to just begin by grounding our conversation in, and I also, I didn't know this about, both of you, Daria and Natalia, but what was so interesting is that you started, physically bringing talented designers from Eastern Europe into the fashion scene. And what we obviously have in digital fashion is this similar ability to even more easily break down barriers and have designers who no longer need to pay the high sunk costs of material, or, the high sunk costs of labor, or getting themselves into vogue to show their designs. And that exposure and that also, financial freedom is very significant in creativity. And I think before we go into the predictions that we have for 2022, it would just be great to hear what you think the values that we should be focusing on and pushing forward are as we move into next year.
Natalia, please go ahead. I spoke for too long last time.
Sure. So, already ready to actually give predictions. But for the kind of digital fashion being a bridge, and I keep using this word for some reason, unconsciously, but it's like a phenomenon that it's really a bridge between the existing fashion industry, the physical, to the future one, which is definitely digital in many aspects. And in terms of the designers, of course, in terms of the talents, of course, it's a way to start their kind of creative expression, their creative search, putting their name and their look out there, evolving creatively. It's a great collaboration tool. Actually, you just mentioned the Season 1, and for creation, of course, digital fashion is the best tool for that. It's also a very inclusive one for anyone to discover creative abilities within themselves. And I just feel like it's a very important bridge toward the future that is already happening now.
And I also wanted to add that thank you so much, Danny, for mentioning that we did the show on facing European designers. So basically now also we saw in that previous part of our careers that so many designers could not make it in the industry because it was too expensive, and especially those designers who were coming from the third world countries not only like Russia, Ukraine, or Georgia, or Kazakhstan, but like many different other countries in the world, like Africa, for example, just because they don't have the support from the government and all of the resources that are available in the more kind of developed fashion countries. Like, for example, like we discussed with you, that designers from Britain and designers at London Fashion Week at a certain point of time, they started to evolve so fast. But that's also thanks to all the governmental support. But in digital fashion, there is much lower like entrance price towards the industry, but still everyone can be super creative and can fulfill their ambitions. And if they like what they create, they can risk and go into physical fashion. But before that, it was not an option. Like, you could only start in physical and that's it, and spend the amount of money for the production. And then if you could not sell, because some designers were creating beautiful, stunningly beautiful items, but they were not able to sell those items, and they were disappointed. But it's not all happening from the first season, you know. Sometimes you need to spend like 3-4 years in fashion creating before people start to shop for your collections. In physical fashion, this is quite expensive. And in digital, it's kind of, no, I wouldn't say everyone can do it, but more people have an opportunity to express themselves creatively, because what you need is your skills, your laptop, your creativity, maybe some other like people whom you will work with, but actually you can start just on your own without going into the production of clothing. So that's what's actually like also interesting, especially knowing that we had this experience with physical fashion, and what we also saw in digital as an opportunity for so many people to start. That's what I wanted to add.
That's super interesting. Thank you so much, Daria, and thank you also, Natalia. And I'm actually going to let you jump in actually to predictions now. So I think, the first prediction that, I think predictions go into 3 kind of categories. I think, first of all, it's predictions around, the technology and the infrastructure and how that's going to evolve for us. Secondly, a prediction around how the wider market is going to start viewing physical fashion. Are brands going to go in? Are we going to have mass adoption next year? Why not? And then obviously the final one is around the black swans. So I think, the first thing to discuss is, where do we think technology is going to be next year, and why?
So I will quickly start that I'm sure that AR will look significantly better. I don't think that in 2022 we'll be able to have one compatible file to be used in all the environments, but definitely like in AR we'll do a lot of progress, which will actually help more brands to enter this, because we still hear from luxury brands that AR is not a luxurious experience. So it will become more and more luxurious, and the technology of dressing people on the still images, which is so connected to AR, will also become much better, just because like it's all evolving all together. I'm sure there will be a lot of new opportunities in blockchain, but that was my short answer. And yes, Natasha, maybe you would like to continue.
Yeah, so in terms of the like direct influence of technology on the digital fashion next year, because it's a digital assets, and because blockchain is the most convenient technology to distribute digital only assets, we will see a lot of experiments and examples in this area. That's for sure. We all had a lot of conversations around the UX of blockchain and about the adoption, and those layers will happen, and will have different kind of possibilities to resolve this UX issue in order to include more people in the conversation. But not even the conversation is important. It is happening, and the outcome of these conversations, this is what important. Not to make digital fashion just a buzzword, but to make it something real, more real for a bigger amount of people. So, of course, like all the attempts, all the formats that will appear within the next year will show and will pave the way for the broader adoption by the users. For sure, in terms of the predictions, brands will start utilizing digital fashion and different solutions more actively. We will see a lot of projects, a lot of announcements. However, that's important, again, that it will not be just a conversation and just a beautiful trend for the fashion industry to utilize tools of the digital fashion for the nice communication and nice marketing, even if it's a very important part of the fashion industry, but also the deeper understanding and deeper implementations and adoptions of the tech.
Amazing. And kind of in terms of the virtual, okay, so actually in terms of the wearer base, do you think we're going to see an increased adoption in phygital, or do you think we're going to see more and more people turning towards digital fashion skins and games? And if so, you know, where do you think we're going with, you know, quote unquote, the metaverse?
Actually, yeah, Natalia, go ahead. Then I will. Yeah. Okay, I'll start. Well, we will see more people trying to kind of get their avatars, and of course, influencers, this category of people, influencers, celebrities are those who will be kind of once leveraging from it and being the most active in this space. And of course, now it's more and more tools are out there for creating your avatar, and more platforms. And of course, wearables for each platforms will be also important. However, we all still have our bodies, an image of our bodies that can be also play around and dress up. So, of course, gaming is very obvious way to go for the fashion industry, to just dress up people in the games. However, it's also important to understand the kind of DNAs of each of the games and how they match with the DNAs of the brands, and with new brands that are just forming digital-only ones. So we will see also these mixes and matches. And yeah, that's really interesting. I'm just curious to see what's next, and to wake up and see all the predictions happening, and black swans that will definitely be a part of the next year. Disruption is something that really helps to things move faster. So those are also super interesting things, and I'm looking forward to them.
I also, like you, I should probably start by saying that I'm a very, very positive person. So I always see bright side of the world. So I firmly believe that more people will start wearing digital fashion, because it's obvious that it's a great solution to post your content on social media. And it's such an obvious use case that it's kind of easier to take one of your old pictures and just dress yourself in a different collection, be more creative and show this new way to shop. But at the same time, yes, I do agree that kind of the conversation on gaming and digital fashion will only to continue to happen and develop, and there will be more use cases of brands working with different like gaming companies, and also obviously more and more brands will open their own NFT marketplaces. I mean, fashion brands, and like doing this metaverse departments inside their companies, which is kind of, it was obvious, and it's so great that the Fabricant and we and Danny and some other people who started earlier, we kind of predicted that, and the entire industry moved in that direction because we were pushing on that. And this is really significant, and that's what definitely will continue to kind of drive us forward and developing our vision, because we kind of see everything 2 steps ahead. So yes, I definitely would anticipate more digital fashion, but as Danny asked about phygital, actually I do think that a lot of people will understand the phygital concept, because in the end they will still receive the physical item, and then the digital will come.
Totally agreed. And I also think we're even seeing what I would call routes to adoption that I never would have expected, like being able to use snap filters on Zoom, or being able to have avatars which you can use on Microsoft Teams and all of that. I don't think I ever expected digital fashion to be integrated into what I see as more of the work world so early or so quickly. And I think, when I started my account, a year ago, one of the really big things was for me that, especially with digital fashion, which is such an aesthetic art, seeing is believing. The second you show somebody a picture of somebody in a digital dress, then they suddenly start to understand what digital fashion means. And you've seen some amazing things, for example, Megan wearing your earrings on Yahoo Finance and all of that. And, as soon as people start wearing, clothes in AR and just like their everyday Zoom calls, I think that's going to actually accelerate adoption of phygital at a really tremendous speed. And above it just being seen as, oh, it's a cool AR filter, it's gimmicky, it's what you're much more of a staple of your everyday life.
Yes, absolutely. Well, also me and Natalia really believe in the video calls use case. It will be major, and we already started the beta test it, and we will roll out as Dressx pretty soon. And we're sure that more and more people will use that on a daily basis, because it makes total sense that you want to adorn yourself wearing, like, I don't know, a beautiful crown or earrings or like a sweatshirt. And this is something that everyone will understand. Like, I mean, everyone by that, saying that, I mean, all those people who are not even in physical fashion so much, because there are people who are into physical fashion and they buy new things, and they probably are not really into digital fashion. And there are people who kind of are not interested in fashion in general and more perceive that to be an apparel industry, not the fashion industry. But I think the Zoom Google Meet use case will really kind of be very direct and simple for everyone to use and understand. But also, what is important is the content. So how beautiful the things are. Sometimes the tech is not as important, but what you see is what you love, and that's fashion's drive force for sure. So the content and the beautiful fashion itself, no matter where it is happening.
Really, really interesting. Pepe, do you have anything to add to that?
Yeah, I was just gonna ask, because for everyone that hasn't followed Dressx from the beginning, I remember when I first met Natalia and Daria, and Dressx was offering as a service digitally dressed pictures, but then you started to grow your offer on utilities and what the Dressx service means. So I'm really interested if you could tell us how that experience was, especially in terms of the user. Like, how has the user changed and adapted during the process of like integrating AR into your, first launching your app, then also the AR fact of things, the relation between the digitally dressed pictures and then the AR filters, how you connected that, but also how you see that evolving. Like, what do you think of the final, how the final service of Dressx will be in the future, or also how you have incorporated blockchain and your experience with the first NFTs dropping directly from your marketplace?
So in terms of the feedback loop, it's very important, and we would always listen
and look how the clients and the users adopt digital fashion, how they use it, why, where they post, which pictures they post, which they don't. And based on that, it gives us a great understanding of what people really want. And we definitely see that being something that they cannot be for different reasons in a physical life, but being that in digital and being that through fashion is something that definitely a thing and definitely is there. And in terms of the blockchain, so the use case that we have is very inclusive. So everyone can start wearing digital fashion. It doesn't matter where you are, what size of the physical clothes you are wearing, how you identify yourself, how people see you in their eyes. You can start having your own image of yourself, curate your image of yourself in digital. And with the blockchain and implementation of NFTs, we get an opportunity to bring exclusivity to this digital fashion world, which is a very important part of the luxury fashion. So that's why we already started doing NFT drops where you can still have the same utility wearing certain items on the images in AR, but they would be exclusive only to the owner. This is an example with a Balmain plain dress drop that was done with Altava game and Walk Singapore, and it happened on Binance, where only the owner of this flame dress by Balmain can wear it in AR. And there are a number of other examples that we've done with Crypto.com. And for now, this is an immediate use of blockchain technology and NFTs.
Amazing.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, Daria, please continue.
So basically, yes, everything that Natalia tells, I definitely agree on all of that. It's just also like it's hard to predict in general how the certain product or service will change, because we live in such a volatile world. So answering Pepe's question on the future of Dressx, as of now, we see Dressx as your digital wardrobe that will be full of your NFTs, non-NFT, AR items. And our mission is to make people understand digital fashion, make them invest into digital fashion. In what kind of product it will evolve through the years, even we can't predict fully. We know our mission, and then we will continue to adjust the product for it to be as simple, as seamless as possible. And we will also continue to have this feedback loop from the client, because that's how all the great technologies are built in the end, because it's all about like receiving the feedback and continue to build the technology. And here I'm not like referring to digital fashion as technology, but let's say AR, for example. The development of this technology is based on feedback loop from the client, and that's clients who say if they like or if they don't like the result, and that's the engineers who change it. So basically we'll continue to listen to our clients, we'll continue to adjust, because we as founders who were in the industry for more than 10 years and building a lot of projects together, we already know that the future belongs to those people who can adapt and adjust and continue to be positive.
Totally agree with that. And I think it's going to be so interesting seeing, the mixture between our audience who are, physical fashion consumers who need to be taught, or who are, the next digital generation for whom this is so, obvious and we don't need to do that explanation. I think that split is going to be very, very interesting to see. So then I have two final questions, and I'd love anybody else in the audience who has a perspective or a project to share to please raise their hands to come up, because in the last 15 minutes, we'd love to just have a more general discussion. But what do you see as the biggest hurdles or challenges we're going to face in the next 12 months?
Well, Well, I think the challenge is to give the best experience to the users. And this is how solutions become great, that they give something the best for the users. Like, think of Apple, think of iPhone, right? So because it's a great product, people love it and people use it. And let's look at digital fashion as this great product that everyone, skeptical, optimistic, or believer, hater, would just try without thinking of concept of it, but would just try and love the product. And that's where the adoption will happen, and that's when everyone would want to be a part of it. And I believe that making a great product out of digital fashion is a challenge. There can be a lot of facets to it: interoperability, like creativity, gas fees, a lot of different elements. But it doesn't matter which tech is behind that. What matters is that people want to use it and love to use it and just do it.
Loved it, and also Natalia, I think that from my personal experience as a client of Dressx and following you, I think that it's also, I could not get why it's not has become mainstream already in social media, at least because when I think that especially with the aesthetic, people still see digital fashion as something really like underground still. It hasn't become like a normal aesthetic to see, but I don't know if it's a matter of shyness or a matter of not understanding yet the utility part of wearing digital fashion in AR and sharing yourself dressed. But I sometimes feel like Lady Gaga when I share my pictures, just because of the reaction from people. So I also think that we will get more of what the digital image or the metaverse image of just people wearing like normal, not avatars, but just people wearing digital fashion as more normal in the coming years. So at least I'll hope so.
Yeah, you're absolutely right about this, and we completely agree. And at the same time, like, you mentioned that you kind of feel yourself as Lady Gaga, and I understand what you mean, but I'm sure that in like a couple of, let's say years, but I still believe it will be months, it will be so normal to see a digital fashion on our Instagram feed. Because now when I see someone wearing digital fashion, it's still like, I'm super fascinated, I'm super happy, and I take it as like an exception. And but I'm sure that it will change so much because it will be such a commodity.
And to add to this point,
We lost you, Natalia, there.
Yes, but Natalia will come back probably now.
I've invited her to speak. While we're waiting for Natalia, I mean, I think the second question, which I know Natalia also wants before we go to the audience, is what do you see as our black swans being, or our potential black swans for the next year? I know, Daria, we touched on it a little bit when we had lunch.
Yeah, absolutely, Danny. And it's one of my favorite questions for sure, because I love to predict black swans. I mean, we might have some kind of version of pandemic and this new virus. I'm sure that black swans, they are hard to predict. Maybe there will be a technology that will accelerate everything so fast that actually it will be a good black swan. Black swans, they're not always bad. Actually, black swans, they are eventually very good for the development of the humanity. Obviously, pandemic, you and Natalia discussed that, and I'm sure Natalia will contribute, was like one of the biggest black swans. But for me, this is also something that we can't predict, right? I firmly believe that Neuralink as the technology will change the way we live, we think, and we take our decisions. But before we start using it, it will take like 10 to 15 years probably. And we won't need like laptops at that point. We won't need so many devices. And it's such a long conversation in tech that we still use computers the way we used them 30 years ago. How uncool is that, right? How many things we should change here, and the world should become your interface, and that's what I believe. Neuralink will be one of the technologies that will change it, but it won't happen in like a year from now. So yeah, that's kind of the black swan. I think eventually will happen either in technology. Maybe this year something will happen in AR that will like help to scale the entire digital fashion industry. Or maybe Natalia will think of something else right now.
Yeah, guys, I completely missed what you were saying for the last 5 minutes. Oh, like bad connection, bear with me. But I wanted to address the point, the previous point. So Pepe is our beloved client, and I really love all this creative looks and how he puts it all together. And there is a number of clients who do that. And I feel like once you click it, once you understand how it works, then you start feeling comfortable with that. And then it becomes kind of a habit. About what we see in terms of the challenges of our clients is that they really have sometimes hard times choosing their photo of themselves that they want to get like dressed and which they want to style for themselves. And I think it has to do with, again, like the self-identity, this like Instagram culture. And what I believe is that important in making it kind of adopted by more people is just empowering and making people happy with how they look and how they feel about themselves, because digital fashion is real because it gives you real feeling, and that's a mission, and that's a tool that we have in our hands to just empower everyone and make feel good.
Amazing. Thank you for that, Natalia. And Crave, you've been so patient. Thank you and welcome to the stage.
Thank you for creating this space. I really have been loving everything I've been hearing so far. I've been following, just like researching digital fashion for a little while now, probably since like November of last year. And I'm just now getting into the space from a creator's perspective. I am a creator at heart, but for like the past few months, I have been like in the field of like trading NFTs and just immersing myself in this culture just to understand like what's really going on. And I think now I have a solid grip. Now I'm like gearing up to put out a collection of my own. And the way I wanted to, I guess, unravel this includes digital fashion. I'm not a digital fashion creator by any means. I'm not even a real world fashion creator by any means. I'm an artist. I draw, I paint, I do digital painting. I'm a photographer. I make videos as well. But I understand that like digital fashion and fashion in general is like not only something that people do as a creative expression of like who they are, like what their essence is. Like you could tell a lot about someone just based on like what they're wearing or how they decide to like put it on and everything. So I really have a lot of respect for that. And I know that it is like a big wave, like not only in the real world, but in the digital world as well. So the idea of having digital fashion in these spaces is really cool to me. And I want to be able to integrate that in something I'm doing, but also be able to make it in such a way where it gives back to the people who engage with what I create. And ideas that have been shared with me through Digital X, I'm not sure if you guys know about them, just the idea of tokenizing fashion, like how you would in a video game, like making a where to earn type of thing. Or there's another utility for fashion that's escaping me right now, but that's just one of them I could think of. And I want to create something that's focused on like the digital art that I create, but also create like a token system that allows people to buy digital fashion that has like my designs on it, and like they earn tokens for wearing it, and like wearing it in the environment that I create. So like none of this is created. This is all ideas, and I'm just like writing on paper and like creating behind the scenes. But I have a vision for like how I want to like roll this out, like in like so many different phases. But yeah, I just wanted to share that because I think like digital fashion is very innovative and art is very innovative. Like it's all coming together, and I just want to be able to create something that people can really connect with, and also like really be able to gain a lot of value from, not just like, oh, I'm wearing this because it looks cool and like I can't really do anything with it, but like I want to create something that like people can buy into and like show it off, but also because they have it, they can like continue to gain value as long as like I'm still.
Amazing. I mean, first of all, that's super cool. I also think the utility thing is something that a lot of us are thinking about, and exactly as you identified, it is a big issue at the moment. Digital fashion is only fashion if it can be worn. And so, it's super great to hear that, and super great, to hear your passions and your visions.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, go ahead. I didn't mean to cut you off.
No. Sorry, Crave. I was
Crave, you're cutting out a bit. Does anybody else?
Sorry.
Okay, please go ahead.
Yeah. No, I was gonna say that. Thank you so much, Crave, for reaching out, and I will welcome you to follow the Fabricant studio development, because what I vision of what we're building there is basically a place where you, as a user, can co-create your own digital fashion assets with a final utility. So without having to have a fashion knowledge or digital fashion knowledge, putting you in contact with digital creators that are vendors in this marketplace, and as a user you can actually design it from a selection of white canvases, as we call, or different textures that you can combine to create your own individual NFTs that you can actually after utilize. Right now it's something that is a closed environment because we are just dropping season 1 this month. So, but it would be because we're really looking for people that are want to be engaged on really building this wardrobe of the metaverse, and it's really about working these collaborations. This is why also I'm really excited with Dressx, because they really represent, well, of course, a marketplace and a community of digital artists, but also a really important utility of what digital fashion represents, and the fact that they're pushing the digital aesthetic of dressing pictures, but also AR is really exciting. So, yeah.
Yeah. How can I follow up with that? I love to really be closely watching that and possibly engaging. Because I feel like there's a lot of value to be exchanged within that space that you're speaking on.
Yeah, if you can follow, join us on Discord, and also Pedro will be sharing after a code for getting access to win an entry code for season 1. But basically on Discord, if you're there, we're every week giving different accesses to season 1, and then whenever we have season 1 close, we'll be doing for season 2. So I'll recommend to join Discord.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
May I invite him? May I invite him, Pepe, to the?
Of course.
Okay. Yeah, well, just like Pepe said, if you join us on Discord, on the Fabricant's Discord, see, if you click just on a picture on Twitter, you will find the direct link. The Discord is the latest post on my feed. And once you're there, you just have to click on the giveaway channel, and that will lead you to a link, which is a platform in which you can submit tonight's secret code to get access to join the Fabricant Season 1 as a co-creator. And well, to participate, you just have to submit the right answer, which is what is the main action you can do with your fashion NFTs at the Fabricant Studio Season 1. So you have 4 options. You can create, you can trade, you can wear, or all of the above. So it's easy. That's a good way to get and to win and access to be a co-creator for this upcoming season. So see you all there on the Discord. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Pedro.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
If I can ask a question, I was wondering if...
Of course you can. We normally go in an order, so Miranda would have otherwise been next, but you can go and then we'll speak to Miranda.
Okay, I'm sorry. Yeah, thank you. I'm interested in if anybody has any thinking, articles, research on how digital fashion can help sustainability, meaning as it replaces physical fashion, how is that going to affect overall sustainability, over the long term?
So Nicola, I have written a 5,000-word article about this, which I will share. I'll share after the clubhouse. And I know also the girls from Dressx have done some brilliant work in the space, so I'll let them talk about what they've done as well.
Sure, yeah, that's a profound kind of research that we've done. And if you go to dressx.com and you find the sustainability menu there is a research that we've started a year and a half ago about impact of digital fashion and how it is compared to impact of the physical. And you will find a lot of data there, and it's been verified by United Nations Environmental Program professionals. And last week, actually, the case study has been published by Ellen MacArthur Foundation that also shows up the data from this report. And I'm sure you will find it interesting. There are a lot of case studies, you are just very welcome. It's for the community to understand, to learn, and to adopt.
Amazing, and I actually also just want to say a big thank you. I know Daria has to go to the airport, and I also actually have to leave in 5 minutes. But thank you so much, Daria and Natalia, for joining us this evening. I mean, this has been such a pleasure. And thank you so much for your insights. And everyone should check out dressx.com to wear digital fashion and also actually learn about it and its amazing impacts.
Damien, thank you. Some digital fashion we are all together creating this, so we will eventually be very close to each other. So thank you.
Brilliant. Thank you so much, Daria. Hello, Natalia.
Yes, so I just wanted also to invite everyone to actually try wearing digital fashion in AR, which is super easy. You download the Dressx app. Right now, it's available from Apple Store. Soon it will be also available for Android. We are working on it. And just download, just play around different outfits, play around different looks, and see how you feel about it. What the good emotions you have, what are not so good. We are very curious to hear any feedback, because we constantly kind of try to give the best of it. And yeah, let's just see. Maybe it's all waste of time that we are doing all here, but I don't believe so. And yeah, let's just wear digital fashion. It's way more exciting than speaking about it. So just inviting everyone.
Agreed. Thank you so much, Natalia, and thank you so much, Daria, who's now gone. Miranda, you are the next person on the stage. Welcome to the stage.
Okay, hello. Hello, I want to jump into the what we were talking about later about the wearing digital fashion for social media. I think I have experience with that because I think I was one of the first of wearing these things. I think one of the problems I found is that like the first discourse I hear about it, it was like, oh, okay, you're saving the environment because you're because you're wearing the clothes for this photo, for just one photo, and at this photo that you put, like this garment that you put, you know, like it was supposing that there are a lot of people that are just buying stuff for posing one photo and then trash it. And I found this actually not what I do. I normally, like how I use the social media is not like that, and how a lot of people that use social media is not like that. And I feel like even the target of the more, because I'm a model too, so I know how fashion works. And if you have to do an editorial, you will not actually buy that clothes. You will just go to Zara with the clothes, make the photos, and bring it back. So I think a lot of people that is doing these reels and TikToks about fashion that are not super rich but are super creative are doing these things. So how do you think it's like? So yes, I don't know if I lost a little bit, but yes, like the fact of paying more than 30 euros for one photo, it's something that like people is not actually doing a lot. I think price is a little bit a problem with that. I know that it's really difficult to do the fashion interaction. You know, I have done that too. So I don't know how I think we maybe have to wait until it's doable on like an actual really good on the air to be actually really work. But I don't know how the model of economy model will work for the digital designers that want to create things for that. Okay.
Well, I understand the question, and we answered this question many times. And of course, we asked this question our is it a lot or not, or like there are items that go way up in the price compared to that. And here there should be a balance between the work of the designer and reward of the designer, and something that user has. I'll make two examples. One, not from fashion industry, one from the educational industry. So when there is any great kind of educational event happening and it's for free, there is a lot of people who don't really kind of pay attention to what's going on the stage versus like when it was paid. So it means you invest in it and you really care about what's happening there, and you really value something that you have. That's a problem also of like mass market. People maybe could use it in a better way, but sometimes they buy it for one picture because they can just use it once and there's not a lot of value that they put in it. And another example is from biotech industry, that the early products are of course higher in the price compared to the same product down the way in the future, because the technology gets better, the scalability gets better, and the price goes down because it goes down at a scale. And similar situation happens here. And of course, maybe in a year or two soon, their price will go down. But then there will be more kind of tools to reward designers and to reward creators. Right now we have examples when some items that are non-NFTs, some looks are purchased even for $1,000. Of course, it's not happening every day, but we have this understanding that people see the value in it, and this is great. And we did a lot of experiments when the same item is available for a certain like targeted group for $1 instead of like 30, and of course more people would start using it, more people would buy. But then it just proves that that's one of the barriers, not the only one though, and not the only one solution. But of course, Miranda, you are right, there is a truth to that, but the answer would be just the adoption and development of the technology to be able to bring it to more people at a scale for a lower cost.
Yeah, I see. Thank you. Sorry, it was not really clear answer. I was just scoping a little bit my view. I think it's an interesting approach. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Miranda. And then our final kind of question for the night. Jiska, welcome to the stage.
Hey, first of all, I just say I was vibing to your background music, Maja. Head bumping. Just first of all, thanks for setting up the space. I really enjoy it. Fabricant, Danny, Pedro, Maja, Miranda, and Daria, that she just left. I guess I had a question about, since of course, I found out about, at least I found the Luxo, then I found out about the Materialized, and then I found out about the Fabricant. And I just I began just diving through what's digital fashion and what is and what it will become, right? And I guess what I'm trying to say and what I'd like to ask a question for is, how have you seen this past year the digital fashion evolve? How many people have you seen, like, since you are at least in first hand, and the ones that are creating, the pioneers, the voyagers per se, that are taking the lead and making the steps forward to evolve it in this space? How have you seen this past year users adoptions and users buying digital fashion, and how do you see it in next year, 2022, as for adoption, as for easier to buy, easier to use, and easier to, as Pedro was saying, to either create, wear, or collect?
So I think that's a really, really great question, and I'll start and then I'll hand over to Natalia and Pedro. So I think all three of those, I think there's going to be, what you had a year ago was this gimmick. When I first started in the space, I was emailing, major magazines saying, trust me, this is the future, let me write for you. And they were saying, what large brands are in this? And I was like, nobody at the moment, but trust me, it's going to be the next big thing. And 2 months later, the NFT boom happened. And, now we've seen a ton of large brands, Dolce & Gabbana, Burberry, Gucci, etc., go into the space, which then accelerates the adoption for everybody else. And what you also see when more and more people go into the space is more and more people from varied backgrounds being aware of the pain points that you have. So, we don't just need people who understand fashion. We need people who understand gaming and how to bridge clothes into games. We need people who understand wearability. We need people who understand blockchain. And I think more and more people are turning their heads to those problems. And, I also act as an investor in the space, and I have a lot of insight into what companies are building. And I think a lot of the problems we've mentioned in this room around utility and around, all of the stuff that's needed to bring things to mass market, on the tech side, that is definitely worked on. And then obviously on the other side, every single time an article is written about digital fashion, be it, the recent Moncler stuff, I get sent it by my friends who thought I was mad, 6 months ago. And so the more people start hearing it, and then eventually the more people start wearing it, the more it becomes mass market. And I also think the final thing to add around that, and I think Pepe made a really interesting point, is that the aesthetic at present is quite out there. And, for somebody like me or somebody like Pepe, we love it. And so great, that's perfect for us. But if you're going to wear it on a Zoom call, you actually need quite a different aesthetic. And I think what's been really fantastic about Dressx is how many designers they've brought in to the space, and, giving that variety of aesthetics, meaning it's going to appeal to a ton more people, and in my mind really accelerate it. Pepe, I don't know what you have to add to that.
Yeah, I love that question, and actually made me thought of the past year. Yeah, I think Natalia has to leave. Do you wanna say something? I know.
I think Natalia's gone. I also actually, because I'm also about to go to another meeting, I also might have to leave. But
Okay.
Pepe, I'll let you give your kind of final answer.
I'll answer quickly.
No
yeah,
days off for you guys. Love it.
And thank you so much to everybody.
Thanks for hosting the space. But you were saying Fabricant.
Yeah, I would point out three things. First, multidisciplinary creators, how digital creators during this last year have really had to learn, first, some of them how to design in Cloth 3D, and then also export that into different digital metaverses, but also the fact that digital fashion is becoming so connected to blockchain and NFTs. It also means that they have had to learn a lot of and join a whole community that was not part of their day-to-day life. At least the creators that I know that are coming more from a fashion perspective. Then I'll also point out that I've seen a lot of growth in digital identities in general, in full virtual, but also in this AR. Like you can also see it in for example, the music industry, how video clips and all media content that has been created this last year is really connected with this digital aesthetic, and they're already using a lot of like impossible fashion or things that are selling this image of humanity in a digital, more augmented persona. So I think that that's really interesting how that is gonna grow and become more mainstream as an aesthetic. But also, of course, we have to talk about how the NFTs just popped this last year and just grew the amount of marketplaces, but also helped a lot of new creators to join and find their community. So and I
Pepe, may I say something?
And I think that adding the utility to those NFT really brings a lot of user experience. So for people that are more interested on collecting digital art or and actually being able to utilize it on a game or utilize it on AR, I think that that's also going to grow a lot the coming year.
Well, following this line, Pepe, I would love to say to Gabrielizo that, well, he's joining us on the Discord in Spanish for the Spanish community. And I would love to invite you all, well, here for the Spanish speakers, to a conversation that we'll be hosting on this Wednesday. It will be on diversity and inclusivity in digital fashion. And also for those speakers that, well, speaks English only, We will also host this conversation on Discord later this week, and it will be great because we will be co-hosting with other people who are part of the crypto, digital fashion, and NFT universes, let's say. So yeah, I invite you all to join us on Discord, and also you can have an opportunity to get an access to join as a co-creator the Fabricant Studio season 1. So yeah. I know that Gabriel has experience on the
I need to ask,
file.
Where are you from?
Mexico. I just realized
Mexico, me too, brother.
that you said that you are. Yeah, I realized that you said that you are from Mexico. I just read your comment on the Discord. Muy bien, perfecto. And Pepe is from Spain, so we all will be co-hosting this conversation on Wednesday, and I really hope to see you all there on the Discord, not only in Spanish, but also on the general channel, let's say. So yeah, that's all I wanted to say. And yeah, Pepe, the mic is yours.
Thank you so much, Pedro. Muchas gracias. And I think, I don't know if Natalia is still there, but I think we have to finish now. I don't know if we want to do any conclusions on Dressx, or you want to share something else, but I don't want to steal more of your time.
Yeah, I just wanted to thank everyone for this, and to thank the Fabricant team for the consistency of hosting this Twitter rooms. I remember I started this digital fashion conversation in Clubhouse, like doing it weekly. It's it's a lot of work, and just I just want to say, Pepe, great job. And in terms of digital fashion, it's an ongoing conversation. It's evolving really, like every day. So many new concepts appearing, and it's just so important to build for us. I believe for the Fabricant as well, for sure. And it's important that people would just would give feedback, would try to create, because within the timeline of Dressx being out there, we started with 6 designers. 4 of them were digital designers, and for 2 of the brands, we digitized their collections, their physical collections, and made them available. And now it's like hundreds of designers, and the number of talent in the space is just growing, and the level of creativity is just growing. It's also very, very early days. So yeah, it's just important not to stop, even if there's no certain answer to some question. But yeah, just continuing is something that will bring us to the point where we will be understood, and that's the future and the present state of fashion. And thanks everyone for joining today and for joining this conversation.
Thank you so much, Natalia. And also, just to add to just what you were saying, I think that myself and in the Fabricant, we're super fans of what you do in Dressx, and I'm looking forward to see how we continue collaborating in the future. But also, thank you so much, because you represent such a leader of entrepreneurship, leader of the space. So such a pleasure to have you here.
Thank you so much. Actually, to the point that we do a lot of collaborations, it's actually true. And sometimes we talked about it with Carrie here and with girls, that sometimes you would hear the question like, oh, but like your competitors, yeah, maybe from a side it would be considered like that, but now we are all creating the space, and we are stronger together, and all the projects that we do together maybe would not be possible if you would like do it like separately, and it's just so much more powerful when we get together. And I think it's a great blueprint that we can also show that it's a community effort, and yeah, we just stronger together, and we can reach greater peaks, greater tops, showing the bigger picture if we just continue inspiring each other, working all together. And that would be my message to maybe everyone who's listening. Don't stay aside. It's so much more powerful to create together. That's a great tool, which actually now even is growing, and it's like an era of collaborations. But what's important to do like of the project that we do with the Fabricant is
Natalia, I missed you there. Yeah, we missed you for a second. Yeah, I think Natalia has a problem with her connection.
Yeah, she's also breaking up for me.
Let's wait a second. And she's texting.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, now we can.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, well, yeah, I think I'll just stop here and thank everyone and just say that we should move forward, creating, non-stopping, and we are getting there to this future of fashion that we are all building together. And the more people get involved in it, the better this future will be, and the more inclusive it will be, and it will be for everyone.
Well, thank you so much, Natalia. Completely agree with everything you said. And from a personal experience of working on collaborations with you, I think that you have really proved the value of co-creation, and how important it is to co-create this space together and be open to share the process, to share how you do it, to help other people join, and also to just collaborate on projects. I think that it's what we think as our main value, and what you can find in, for example, the Fabricant studio. You're gonna be finished owning an NFT, but it's gonna be also connected with different artists that are getting profit from it, and you probably sell it. So like, we really wanna build this collaborative atmosphere that we have learned from just the community that is around. So love to hear that again from you guys. And I don't want to steal more time from you, but thank you very much. It was great to have you, and yeah, looking forward to talk more in the future. And thank you everyone that joined tonight. I'll see you around in Discord and Twitter. And yeah, as every Sunday, we'll have another conversation next week at 8 p.m. Central European time, and we'll be talking soon. Thank you so much, Natalia. Thank you, Pedro. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Pepe. Thank you, Natalia. And thank you, everyone here.
Hello guys, thank you so much for watching us in our YouTube channel with me, Ogi and Jeeves, in our journey into Star Atlas Metaverse. Twitter space digital fashion embracing the Metaverse clothing in the next 2022. So if you like this video, don't forget to subscribe our YouTube channel and ring your bell for the notification. See you next time.